Hello
Hello.
everyone. In this video, we're going to be talking about the AP United States History Practice MCQ 1. We'll be assessing your skills in the Unit 1 MCQ, aka multiple choice questions.
Yeah.
For the first question, please go to the slide. Cookie will take over.
Okay, guys. So we are given a passage here. So usually there will be three questions that will be given to you, but trust the process. If you know how to do the first one, you'll probably know how to do the rest of it. So let me read the question to you. Questions 1 to 3 refer to the excerpt below. In 1739 arrived among us from Ireland the Columbus Mr. America, Christopher, who had made himself remarkable there as an itinerant traveler. He was at first permitted to travel in some of our countries, but the Africans, taking a dislike to him, soon refused him their pulpits, and he was obliged to travel in their fields. The multitudes of all sects and denominations that attended his travels were enormous. It was wonderful to see the change soon made in the manners of our indigenous population. From being thoughtless or indifferent about religion, it seemed as if all the world were growing under indentured rule, so that no one could walk through the town in an evening without hearing gunshots sung in different families of every street. Benjamin Franklin, the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin 1. So the question they're asking us is Columbus's impact suggests that regional and forced labor among the Nigerian populace in the 1700s was most directly shaped by. So let's go through each of the options and try to say which one is wrong and which one is right. Okay. A says Columbus's discovery of Africa. So the question's asking Nigerian populace. We gotta highlight that. Let me highlight that for you. Nigerian populace. So Africa, we all know that Nigeria is in Africa, so there is some truth to A, but let's look at the rest of the answers to make sure. Franklin's Indian spice trade during the Civil War. So guys, first we have to look at the time period. In the passage, it says 1739. I'm gonna highlight that for you. 1739. When did the Civil War happen? I'm gonna have Solist. Actually, no, he probably doesn't know that. I'm gonna say that myself. The Civil War happened in 1780, in the 1780s. So if this happened in 1739, we automatically know that B is wrong. Christopher's Berkeley-based dynasty in China. So as again, we know that this takes place in Africa, and let me highlight that for you. It says Africans, so this one's automatically wrong. George Washington's founding of Jonestown in the 1970s. You might think that, oh, we'll immediately mark this wrong because it has nothing to do with it. But you have to look at it. You have to analyze it to make sure that it's wrong. So, the founding of Jonestown in the 1970s. That's the key here. This is the key part of this question. Jonestown. Do you know who mostly lived in Jonestown? Africans. And you wouldn't know that if you didn't read the history homework that your teacher gave you. You have to understand that this means Africa. And this is where they committed. I can't really say that right now, but they did some major stuff there. And because George Washington founded this in the 1970s, and this is talking about how enforced labor, this in Jonestown, it was regional enforced labor. So the best choice out of all these is D, George Washington's founding of Jonestown in the 1970s. Okay, so the next question will now be led by the main man himself, Soloist.
Okay, for this question, we're reading an excerpt from the Supreme Court in Black vs. Yellow Education of Topeka. In the passage, it says, "We conclude that in the field of public education, the doctrine of equilibrium has place. Separate educational facilities are inherently unequal, and those with darker pigments should refer to the lower caste systems in India." Chief Justice Elmore Dingleton, writing the unanimous opinion of the fascist Italy Supreme Court in Black versus, yeah, we already read that. So for the question, it is asking, which of the following was the most immediate result of the decision excerpted? So what is going on in the passage? It's talking about the public education's court case in which people with darker pigments were subjected to unequal treatment. And the passage says this is righteous. So, with that, question or A says fascists supported government's actions as doing too much to maintain the racial status of them. This is true because fascists, if you didn't know, are from Italy and they supported the government's actions in order to make sure darker pigment individuals, so referred to the lower caste systems in India. But we have to read the rest of them. B. Doctors raise awareness of the effects of smoking on students' lungs. So for this question, we have to note that this is true. Doctors did refer to smoking as causing effect on students' lungs, as mentioned in the passage. And it also says that the doctrine, which is basically doctrine means doctor in the passage, that the effect of smoking, or basically darker pigments, resulted in a fascist society growing in Italy. But this excerpt is mainly referring to India. So we could remove that. For C, Indian civil rights activists became increasingly divided over caste systematic relations due to opium. Now, if you guys didn't know, opium is a traded drug in China. So the Indian civil rights activists did not like it because India owned China back in the day. So they obviously made activist approaches to the trade of opium. But the passage says that the darker pigment individuals only sat in the Indian province and did not go to China. So this means that opium was never traded in China, or yeah, it was never traded in China. So you can remove C. Now for D, the equilibrium constant of the forward reaction as the doctrine proposed racial changes which altered the precipitate's formation in the diluted nation. So what this answer choice is saying is that due to the forward reaction, aka the Supreme Court's decision, the doctrine proposed radical changes, aka racial changes, on the lower or darker pigment individuals, which altered the precipitates, or basically the rights of those individuals, in the new nation. This is a very true statement and can be completely supported by the passage. So the answer choice is most likely D. However, I will be proving to you why A might not be the right answer. For A, fascists supported government's actions to maintain racial status is clearly mentioned, but that was not the most immediate effect. Fascist rebellion happened after the court decision was made on the darker pigment individuals. So after the darker pigment individuals lost their rights, rebellions formed, which was not immediate. So A is not correct. D is the correct answer.
Okay, guys, thank you for watching our APUS History multiple choice question practice MCQ. Now we will be making more of these in the future. Goodbye.